Good.
We are seeing it now.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so Unit 3, Philosophy of Physical Education and Sport. So this is actually a very important unit. It's a hot topic, usually gets asked a lot. So make sure that you understand it and know it well. So it's all about philosophy. Ooh, the philosophy. Okay, so what is philosophy? So philosophy pretty much it provides direction, develops and clarifies beliefs and values, which serves as the foundation for one's behavior. It's a process of examining and reasoning to arrive at the truth and reality. It aids in decision making in our daily lives. Okay, so philosophy is could be anything. You know, it's finding answers to anything. That's pretty much what it means. It's finding answers to the reason why you are studying to become a teacher. Is there something that drove you to become a teacher? Once you become a teacher, what will your teaching philosophy be? What type of teacher will you be? How will you communicate? So it's pretty much almost like your personality within your career. Okay, a lot of people can develop their own philosophy, and I highly recommend that you, as teachers, start developing a teaching philosophy for yourself. What type of teacher do you want to be? What type of teacher do you like as a student? You know, all of you want to be like me, like Mr. Jeffrey. Just joking, but something like that. Okay, you don't always have to be like someone else. You can develop into your own philosophy, but a lot of the times you get people that actually try and copy someone else's philosophy, and there's nothing wrong with it. You know, if you want to become a coach, some people want to be Arsene Wenger, or they want to rather be Mourinho, for instance. Okay, whatever works with you, but it's all about asking these questions and finding value in what you do. But we'll go into more depth shortly. Okay, so philosophy is a field of inquiry that attempts to help individuals evaluate in a satisfying and meaningful manner their relationship to the universe. So why am I here in this universe? What is my purpose? So developing a philosophy usually has with that one question like what is actually my purpose? Am I supposed to become a teacher, or was I maybe supposed to be, I don't know, a pastor or whatever? Okay, it's trying to question finding answers to all of those questions that you have. It's something that takes time. It's not overnight, and the answers are not readily available. It's something that you need to explore. Okay, and then they say philosophy helps people evaluate themselves and their world by giving them a basis to deal with the problems of life and death, good and evil, freedom and restraint, beauty and ugliness. And then philosophy helps individuals to answer problems. It offers explanations of life and guide human life. Okay, then they give examples of questions that you can ask. So, what is the role of human beings on Earth? How did we get here? What is the origin and nature of the universe? What constitutes good and evil, right and wrong, depending on your religious, what you believe? What constitutes the truth? Is there a God or isn't there a God? Those are questions that a lot of people ask themselves, and sometimes you need to it's not good to question. The Bible says don't question, but we are not here to discuss the Bible or religion. We are here to discuss on how do you build as yourself as an individual. And to do that, you have to ask questions in order to try and generate answers for yourselves. Okay, before we continue with that, so obviously through philosophy, whether it's a teaching philosophy, whether you have ways in which you can actually implement this, you know, maybe into your lesson plans, whereby your learners themselves can start asking these questions, try and build their own personalities, who they are. Okay, there's many techniques and even street teaching methods that you can use in which individuals can, by doing these activities, they can actually find themselves, or they learn about themselves. And sometimes without you knowing, you start answering questions that you might not even know you were questions that you had, for instance. Okay, and then components of philosophy. So here it's broken down into different components. The first one being metaphysics, and then epistemology, and then axiology, ethics, logic, and aesthetics once again. So when we talk about the metaphysics, it's the principle of being. What is the meaning of existence? What is real? How and why did the universe evolve? What experiences in the physical education program will better enable students to meet the challenges of the real world? So being aware of challenges in society. So this is pretty much a follow-up on the previous unit where we said that those values and morals and attitudes and attributes, they contribute to the individual once entering into society. And then it investigates the reality of everything concerned with human beings and the universe. So when we talk about metaphysics, it's all about questioning the universe, the existence of things and yourself, the purpose of your being. That has to do mainly with what we call metaphysics. Okay, and then epistemology, it concerns with the methods of obtaining knowledge. So the role of PE and its impact on the physical, mental, emotional, and social development. What is true and what is not. Okay, so when we talk about epistemology, it's all about the method in which we obtain our answers. So which could be questions, looking at facts in the world, whether it's now true, it's just a belief, like believing in God, for instance, but it's not something that you can see. It's just something that you know, but there's no true evidence of that. So the method in getting to that, whatever knowledge it is, that is pretty much what epistemology is all about. Okay, so it's questioning yourself, what is true and what is not true. Um, they give examples of question. So what is knowledge? How is knowledge acquired? What do people know? What do we know? Oh, what do we know? What we know? How? Sorry, you see, I'm tired. How do we know what we know? Is human knowledge trustworthy? Can our senses be trusted? Um, the difference between opinion, knowledge, and wisdom. So these are questions that are being asked. Maybe there's facts, maybe there's certain beliefs. It is our job to basically decide whether we believe it or not. So that is the method, looking at the facts, looking at the evidence, and then deciding, okay, I believe this, and this is the route that I want to follow. That is what epistemology is. Do you understand so far?
Yeah, we do a bit
Yeah, but
to
don't worry.
understand a bit.
Yeah, just make sure that you know each one of this. Metaphysics, it's quite straightforward, I think. Epistemology is just a method in which you make a decision, right? So when we talk about the
Yeah.
method, it is someone tells you that, I don't know, your girlfriend is cheating on you, right? That is just someone. How do you believe that person? So the method to which the method you follow.
Why not your boyfriend is cheating on you?
Okay, your boyfriend is cheating on, but boyfriends never cheat. Boyfriends are very honest people. But that method that you now decide to follow, that is the epistemology. Okay, just a simple example. Okay, and then can our senses be trusted? Sounds like a stupid question, right? Are we seeing what we are seeing? Does it really look like that? Are we smelling what we are smelling? Or some people can't smell, you know? I don't know. And then difference between opinion, knowledge, and wisdom. Okay, so we need to have opinions, but we also need to base our opinions on specific beliefs or facts. So that is epistemology. And then axiology. How do we determine what has value and on what criteria is this judged? So it's concerned with the aim and values of society. These aims of society form basis of the school curriculum. Physical education brings forth positive values such as respect for others on the playing field as an example. So axiology, let's start again. So metaphysics is questioning, right? And then epistemology is the method in finding your answers. And then axiology is how you place value on something. Like some of you are just studying to become a teacher, not knowing that you really want to become a teacher. You haven't placed value on that. So you need to, in order to enjoy something and be successful in something, you need to learn how to find value in anything you do. So not just studying, like anything that you like doing. Like we need to find the value in that, and then we will start appreciating it. Monica, you can ask your question. Monica Petrus raised her hand.
Sound say we cannot hear you.
You can't hear me. Must I speak louder, or is my microphone not on, or what? Because the rest of the people can hear me. Okay. I'm going to continue. Okay, so then, yeah, the important thing about axiology is placing value on something. And once you place value on something, you start developing that philosophy, whether it's a teaching philosophy, a parenting philosophy, coaching philosophy, anything that you do in your life, you can develop a philosophy for that. But that you can only do through doing these questions, going through metaphysics, epistemology, axiology. You're not going to write it down, it's just following these procedures. Whether you are aware of it or not, that is how you develop a philosophy. Okay. And then ethics, I think ethics is quite straightforward. We all know what that is. So it's more individualized subdivision of axiology. It helps define moral characters. So this is more related to different settings, whether it's society, communities, even within workplaces. Okay, there's a lot of ethical, society is driven through different ethics. Okay, some people don't know about it and they just do what they want to do and they end up just getting themselves into trouble, or they're just horrible people. Okay, not horrible people, that sounds bad. Okay, so it's a form of individual code of conduct. What is the highest standard of behavior each person should strive to attain, which is a common norm in society? How can PE strive to learn individuals acceptable conducts, and those that in physical education we use those other what do you call it? You use those different types of techniques or components like sports, for instance, where there's rules and regulations, and they start learning about different conducts, following rules. Okay, so those are our tools that we use to pretty much develop these specific ethical values. And in sportsmanship, you play by the rules and you respect your teammates and your opponents. And we've already touched on that. That also falls under ethics. Okay, so together with ethics, the reason you can see how it's related to axiology, and that's why it's almost a subdivision of axiology, because it's all about value, placing value on certain things. And ethics is pretty much also the same thing, where you have different codes of conduct. There's just different, or there's set standards within communities or just in life that we need to pretty much adhere to or follow, if that makes sense. Okay, so around the ethics, we have rules and regulations, we've got our values, research, which also has to do with questioning, and then moral principles. Those are usually things that we learn growing up from whatever household you're in. Ethical practices, so knowing what is against the law and what is with the law. Okay, so doing things properly and staying on the right course. And then rules of conduct, how we are supposed to behave within society. Those are all the main categories, of main aspects that pretty much forms ethics. So obviously you can go into each subcategory and explain many things. Like for instance, if you just look at values, you can pretty much explain the whole unit we just did before this one, unit 2. What else? Yeah, and that goes with even with moral principles, conducts, etc., etc. Again, then the next one is logic, which is also pretty simple. It provides individuals with a method of living and thinking. It describes the steps that should be taken in thinking and put ideas into an orderly, structured sequence that leads to accurate thinking. It sets standards to measure the accuracy of ideas, what methods of reasoning will lead to the truth, and then why should I do physical activity? The PE teacher should explain advantages and not just saying it is part of life. Okay, so not giving short answers, but actually emphasizing on the meaning behind everything that is beneficial through physical education. Okay, so logic is just the way our thought process, that sometimes even when we do those other questions, the metaphysics, epistemology and axiology, that we know how to take steps in our thinking, in our thought process. Okay, so it's similar to logical reasoning, using your logic. No. Don't be silly now. Okay, and then the last one is aesthetics, which we've kind of touched on quite a few times. It's the study and criteria for the beauty in nature, arts, and sport, the appreciation of what has been done, what is beauty. Viewing a skilled athlete are often a source of great pleasure. So that is pretty much what aesthetics is. Okay, and if you can place aesthetics in a lot of areas in your life, for instance, then you also learn how to appreciate certain things, not just anything, but maybe everything. Okay, so that part, these 6 things that we highlighted here is very important. It's usually, it's almost always, not always, but it's usually asked in the exams, either in the supplementary or in the regular. So make sure that you just understand each one of those. Okay, philosophy, physical education and sport. In today's changing society, a sound philosophy in physical education and sport is necessary for the professional to survive. What has values in today's society? What are relevant to the needs of today's youth and adults? Okay, so then they list a few functions of philosophy of physical education. It articulates the worth of PE and sport results in the improvement of professional practices. It's essential to professional education. It guides the professional, any professional, not just sport-related activities. Any professional benefits from physical education, and then provides direction for the profession and individual programs. It makes society aware that physical education and sport contributes to its values. Okay, the reason why we lack a lot of values in society today is because we don't teach it properly in schools. And then aids in bringing members of the professions together. It explains the relationships between physical education and sport and general education. And then it's essential for all physical educators. And I think there's where we will stop today, otherwise I will fry your brains. The next part is just general philosophies. So here we go look at what idealism is, realism, pragmatism, naturalism, and existentialism. Okay, so we need to be able to discuss each one of those and identify with each one of those. So for now, you can go read through that. And then for tomorrow's lesson, we'll complete this, and then we'll also complete unit 4, which is short, I think, and then unit 5. And then on Friday, we will finish the rest of the units. Not the rest of the units, maybe 3, and then the last 2 units can be self-study for you. If there is no questions, then we are done.
Sir.